Hey, Crypto Growth fam, how's it going? This is your host Shazib signing in. We're back with another video, folks. Stellar XLM, not just another layer one. It's going to be an interesting one, guys, so make sure to watch till the end. And, folks, for those of you who are new to the channel, we primarily discuss utility coins and potential gems. If you're interested in any of that stuff, then subscribe the channel and hit the notification icon for regular videos. Folks, let's check Stellar out and how it is not just another layer one, folks. It is combining real world impact with simplicity. Let's find out. I'm going to be sharing this splendid article with you in a moment. This was posted on Stellar official handle. First, let's check this out. This is Jacqueline Melinek. Stellar launched 11 years ago, and while a lot of teams chased the hype, it has stayed mission aligned. Tomer Weller, Chief Product Officer at Stellar.org, dives into that on talking tokens and his take on Web3 product design, security, and privacy. Folks, check this out. Earning institutional trust. You have to check this out yourselves. This is 30 minutes long. We're going to be looking at a few sections over here. How Stellar has evolved over the years, cross-border payments and MoneyGram integration, and then we will check this out. Why developers choose to build on Stellar as well as DeFi plus RWAs. So stay tuned. First, let's check this out now. With over a decade of engineering behind it, Stellar has quietly built one of the most resilient and globally active blockchain networks in the world. Folks, it is, and we can see that it is not just all talk, folks. They are backing it up. Collaborations with the likes of United Nations, UNHCR, as you've seen, and multiple projects, MoneyGram, others, different organizations, platforms, they are backing it up. It has powered cross-border payments in over 70 countries, so it is truly global, processing billions of transactions and becoming the backbone for on-chain real-world assets with $17 billion in volume and $522 million currently on chain. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about scalability and usability at the core, increasing theoretical peak throughput to 5,000 transactions per second, and gradually reduce ledger close times with a target of 2.5 seconds. Awesome. Look at this, Frighter. One of the most developer-friendly moves in the roadmap is the investment in Frighter, an open-source browser extension wallet that sets the gold standard for Stellar native user experiences. Meet Stellar and Smart Contract Copilot. Two other tools, Stellar and Contract Copilot, round out the new developer experience for Stellar by leveraging the latest AI. AI is making waves, as you all know, and Stellar is trying to make the most of it. Tooling that meets developer needs. Stellar is doubling down on developer experience with a modern toolkit designed to turn ideas into production-grade apps, which is fast, obviously, so that is awesome. Scaffold Stellar is a new on-ramp for developers entering the ecosystem. Stellar Lab has long been a go-to resource for experimenting with transactions and testing network calls. Awesome. Stellar CLI now supports transaction editing in clean, human-readable JSON. Trusted standards with Open Zeppelin. As smart contract adoption grows on Stellar, developers can now build with battle-tested security. Open Zeppelin's audited smart contract frameworks, including standards for fungible tokens, NFTs, multi-tokens, and real-world assets, are fully integrated into the Soroban developer stack. Folks, you might have heard about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Folks, NFTs will go much more further than just being JPEGs, images, folks. It's going to be going much more further. That's for sure. They will have real-world use cases. It will have real-world utility. That's for sure. Building with support, the Stellar Community Fund. Great tooling is only half the battle. Developers also need funding and long-term support. That's where the Stellar Community Fund comes in. So any good project, it cannot succeed without a good funding behind it, folks, obviously. So Stellar Community Fund is behind that. Let's check this video out as well while we're at it.
How do you think Stellar has kind of evolved over time?
It's a good question. So Stellar has always been super mission focused. SDF has like a big mission of creating equitable access for the world's to the world's financial system, and I think that having this lighthouse has really been beneficial throughout the years of the boom bust cycles, all the hype. And so, I would say from a technical perspective, a lot has changed throughout the years. I would say that we've definitely expanded our areas of focus, but at the core, it's still the same mission, and it has definitely helped us in decision making throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of times people do chase narratives in this industry.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like suddenly insert blockchain name is now like an AI chain, or they're focusing on that, or gaming, or meme coins, or whatever it may be. And I feel like it's very easy to get sucked into the hype. How does SDF kind of not get sucked in? And you're saying like, okay, even if we could probably chase this narrative and do well, we're going to stay focused on what our mission is.
Yeah, so I think there are two angles to this. First of all, there is kind of like the technical angle of like what actually makes sense for a trust minimized system like a blockchain. And, we've seen, you've said it, medical records on the blockchain, supply chain on the blockchain was a big narrative for a few years. Gaming was like a really big thing. A lot of blockchains started with this idea of gaming, even in recent years. And you see pretty much all of them have shifted away back to financial instruments, because this is where we really see the benefit of trust minimized innovation. And I think from a mission perspective and just kind of like business alignment, having a clear mission and knowing what we're trying to achieve and evaluating who we partner with and what technical what features we pursue has been really beneficial throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say are like the biggest themes and sectors that you are honing in on?
I would say that, Stellar started out really from the cross-border payments perspective, and it's still a lot of the work that we do. And throughout the years, we've kind of taken that infrastructure and built, or we're allowing builders to build more financial instruments on top of that. So one of the core pieces of infrastructure we have at Stellar is this thing we call the Anchor Network, which is a global network of on and off ramps that allow you to move in and out of crypto through local rails. So for example, through SEPA in Europe, through PIX in Brazil, or probably the biggest anchor that we have, MoneyGram, allows you to move from cash to USDC in your wallet in their entire network, which is more than 400,000 agents around the world. And so we can take this infrastructure and not only enable payments on top of it, but enable things that resemble more like savings products or investment products. And so you can actually go through some Stellar wallets. For example, Meru is a wallet that's growing a lot in Chile right now, and they offer users an ability both to deposit funds through MoneyGram, but also to invest, to put the USDC in a yield-bearing instrument. Specifically, it's the Blend protocol on Stellar. So you have this amazing cash to DeFi experience that's completely native. It is very frictionless. And a lot of times the users don't even know that they're using crypto behind the scenes. So from their perspective, it's more of a neo-bankish experience.
For the MoneyGram partnership, it's coming up on a 3-year anniversary, right? And I believe it's been about $30 million in cash to crypto transactions globally. I did my homework. I think what's interesting to me about that is what you just said, how people don't even know that it is crypto, right? So can you walk us through how that kind of works from a product perspective? And let's say like I'm a new person, I'm about to use this. How does that work?
Sure. So it really depends on the actual wallet used as an interface. Let's take, for example, the Decaf wallet, which is a wallet built by expats in Latin America, mostly active there, also in some places in Africa. And so from your perspective, when you open a decaf account, you have no idea that this is actually a crypto account. In practice, it's actually both a Stellar and a Solana account. And when you want to top it up with cash, they basically will send you to a MoneyGram agent. You initiate a transaction from within the wallet. You get this transaction ID. You show this to the agent, and then you complete the transaction in person by showing the ID and actually giving the cash. And so from the user's perspective, they can now use that to pay the bills. They can now use that. They're actually launching an actual debit card soon, so you can use it like that. But all along, you don't actually have to know that this is crypto. Even when you invested in a yield-bearing instrument, it is basically, the experience is kind of like a savings account or a high-yield savings account. You don't need to think about the fact that there's DeFi behind the scenes, that there are transactions, approval transactions, all the rigmarole of DeFi.
Yeah, what you're describing right now sounds like a good user experience.
Yes.
Where you don't need to know what you're doing in order to use the product, right?
Yeah.
When you think about creating good products in Web3, what are some elements it needs to have, maybe in addition to what you just discussed?
This weird thing in the Web3 space, which is people try to reinvent what having a successful product is. But in practice, we've known from decades of Web2 experience, we know what a successful product experience is. We know what product market fit looks like. I think a lot of times what we see in Web3 is people, and you can't hold against them. Sometimes it's founders that come straight from college. They've never actually built anything in Web2. They move straight to Web3, and so they're not necessarily measuring the right things. It's very hard to measure in general in Web3, and I think a lot of times people just look under the streetlight for signal instead of actual more substantial usage metrics. And so at the end of the day, what I tell founders is talk to your users, understand if you're actually providing value, and everything else will fall into place. Obviously, having great user experience is important. Security is important. Scale is important. All these things that people in Web3 are really focused on. These are important things. But first and foremost, you really need to bring value into a person's life.
Right. And when you're thinking about these Web2 experiences, I've never worked in the Web2 consumer side of things. What made those things so good compared to maybe Web3 ones?
Yeah, so I think obviously there's the user experience side of things, which is
it's easy.
Right? Yeah, I think self custody is still something that people struggle with, and I think that we've made a lot of progress as an industry. I think there's a lot of seedless solutions out there right now. Stellar was the first network to natively incorporate passkeys as a solution for signing transactions, which I think is great. I think there's still a lot of value to explore there in terms of what is a progressive authorization.
Interesting stuff, folks. Interesting. I really like when these experts talk about a utility project and what use cases they can provide in the long haul. Look at this. Let's check this out as well while we're at it. Soroban and Stellar smart contract vision, and then we'll check out why developers choose to build on Stellar.
For example, EVM gives you a lot of rope to hang yourself with.
It's dark.
Well,
yes, it is.
And so I think these are kind of the newer generation of runtimes really kind of help protect you more, whether it's on Stellar or the movie ecosystem, for example. I think there's another layer of kind of giving you the best testing capabilities out there. In the EVM space, actually, Foundry is a really good tool that we've learned a lot from. And so Stellar, we have some of the Rust core developers who have actually built some of our testing infrastructure, fuzzing and such. Formal verification is this other layer that's super important. We brought Certora in, which is a huge name in DeFi security. And then at the end of the day, it's really all about getting expert eyes on it. And so we've set up what we call the audit bank, which is a It's basically we're connecting auditors with protocols for sponsored audit. So basically, if you've graduated from the Stellar Community Fund and you meet a set of criteria, then we will hook you up with an auditor. We have 6 auditors. We've audited more than 40 projects like this, a bunch more in progress, put more than $3 million just into the audit bank. And so we're taking this stuff really seriously. And I think that like this specific hack last week and also some other ones last year really demonstrated how even if you have like a really great smart contracts runtime, like Move, for example, then you can still get hacked. At the end of the day, like the runtime itself does not guarantee anything. And so, do all of these things, get audited, have good testing. I think the other aspect which we saw last week is really interesting, which is the governance aspect, because I think this is the actual first time that we saw a set of validators basically commit to not proposing blocks that move the funds away from these addresses of the hackers. And so I think there's a lot of discussions on like whether this means like a network is too centralized. I actually think that's a bit of a red herring. That's not the really interesting discussion, which is like validators in these networks have a lot of power, right? And so oftentimes we brush this off as, this is a trustless network. Validators don't actually decide on anything. But in practice, like a validator can actually like do something like this without any protocol upgrade. And so this begs the question of like, who are these validators? What are, what motivates them?
Right.
And I think that if you look at most of the blockchains out there right now, there's a lot of emphasis on proof of work, proof of stake, which is really built on anonymous validators that get a vote based on their compute and proof of work, or based on stake and proof of stake, like amount of money that they have. And so I think that as institutions and as we see more, bigger institutions come on, I think they're really interested in knowing these validators and understanding their motivation. And so what we're seeing when we're talking with a lot of institutions is that a model that puts reputation front and center, like the Stellar Consensus Protocol, actually is something that makes these institutions a lot more comfortable, because they actually know, for example, Franklin Templeton is a validator on the Stellar network. And in the Stellar Consensus Protocol, you basically, as a validator, you can enumerate, these are the other entities that I trust. And in a decentralized way, the protocol will basically figure out what we call a quorum intersection and make decisions based on entities in that quorum.
When it comes to validators, you mentioned how it's
Interesting. Now let's check out why developers choose to build on Stellar.
Experience.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
On the use case front of things, where do you see the most opportunity to build new products that could tap into either emerging markets or existing ones?
I think right now, what we're really excited about is how things intersect. Okay, so obviously there's a big push on DeFi in the ecosystem, which is still up and coming. We have RWAs that are a very dominant part of the Stellar ecosystem. We have more than around $500 million worth of tokenized treasuries, mostly on the Franklin Templeton side with Benji, but also Wisdom Tree assets. We're seeing new exciting issuers like Etherfuse, for example, which are coming in with their tokenized bonds, government debt. And so I think that, and we have like the classic stuff, which is the anchors and the payments. And I think where it gets exciting is where these things intersect. So for example, these like, cash to DeFi experiences, but also mixing in RWAs with DeFi. So I think there's a lot of...
Folks, you might have gotten an idea that why Stellar is not your regular layer one. It is not just another layer one. And why now is the time to build on Stellar. Look at this. Stellar isn't just a protocol, it is a complete developer platform, one that combines performance, standards, tooling, and real-world adoption. And this is why Stellar can indeed be the next big thing in finance. What do you guys think about it? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Decent and its discounts, as well as Patreon by following the links in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.